How about extended test drive of the Hammond XK5? Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We're in England at the minute and we are in front of the beautiful Hammond XK5, and what I thought I would do is give you the benefit of an extended test drive. You may know, if you saw my previous video, that I will be demonstrating along with a few other people, some new friends and some old, the Hammond UK range of instruments, all the organs, all the amplifiers, all in one big hall, all at the same time. How fantastic is that? That's in Milton Keynes in England on the 4th of May. Please do come and say hello. I'd love to see who's behind there looking at me and frowning at me or smiling at me or whatever. So the opportunity to come and ask me any questions at all. I thought in the build up to that, actually, we could look at the XK5. I've had it quite a few years now. I think I bought it, oh dear me, 2018, maybe something like that. It was a while ago. And before that I had XK3C. Before that I had an XB2. In the meantime I've had a C3. Behind you are a pair of 102s. There's a Leslie 330 behind you and a 145, and over here, as you may recall, there is a recording 122. So my life's been a bit of an extended Hammond organ and Hammond Suzuki test drive, hasn't it? So I thought I'd go through the XK5, what is good, what maintenance we need to do on it, if any. There's not a lot, to be fair, and go through how some of the settings I have and some of the things to watch out for this beautiful instrument. How does that sound? Sounds all right, doesn't it? Okay, so here we go. Okay, so this is the XK5. It has got the SK3 stand. Not a lot of difference in it, but the cross member is at an angle. But a question that often people ask if they want to upgrade is, can you use the XK3 stand? Yes, you can. Can you use the XL3, I think it is it the lower manual? Yes, you can, but you don't have the beautiful contact system, which I shall demonstrate for you here. You don't get that. Can you see how the harder I'm pressing it, the more of the drawbars are coming in? Very similar to the old C over here. Okay, so I can't remember what this is like out of the box. It's been so long. But what you've got is stereo output going straight into Pro Tools with the onboard Leslie. What have I found? Well, first of all, sturdy, mechanically. Is anything mechanical anymore? That one is. But it's reliable, it works. The firmware upgrades are pretty simple to do. The first one's a bit scary. You think, oh my God, but it's okay. Don't worry, it's all right. It takes a few seconds to switch on, which is kind of reassuring. So you know that it's doing some work, it's processing, and then the sound comes in. I turn the master volume down when I switch it on and off. Now, I don't even know if you're supposed to do this anymore, but in the olden days with tubes and valves, we used to do that, and I think we've probably surpassed that now. But someone will be able to tell me that. But I still do that, and when I store it in the Hammond branded bag, which I would recommend because you get the padding in all the right places. It's behind me actually. The fit is so amazing. Sometimes the air can't get out and it just sits and just hovers on there until you push it in to push the air out. So it's a really good snug fit, a really sturdy bag. Wheels on the side, a couple of 4 handles as it goes. Fantastic piece of kit. The organ itself, well, here we are. Ignore those little bits of sticky there. That's the things I did to put effects pedals on there and what have you. It does get a little of a bit of a bashing here and there. I think it's pretty sturdy, to be honest. I think maybe what I've done to it is not pretty sturdy, so that's more likely to be me than anything else. But do watch out, because if you do clatter it, if your, I don't know, drummer hits it with a cymbal, for example, it will mark. Quite simple to get it repaired if you want to. It's wood, it's quality wood after all, so you can do that. I noticed that some of the stands have a slightly different colour. I spoke to Hammond about that, and they said, well, wood comes in different colours, which it really does. So that's why the colours can vary slightly. I think for me, this is trying to look like a B3, isn't it? You think so? So having the different colour is a kind of a giveaway that it's not. And I like the idea that people, how many gigs I've done where people go, how did you get that into the building? And they hang around afterwards to see how you did it. And you take it, obviously it comes apart, doesn't it, right? So I did have, because I'm crazy, I'm properly crazy, I did get a guy in to come and sand that down and then bring the colour closer to it. But I've seen a lot of colour matches that are really good, actually. So it's not tragic. And of course, this was from a 3, not from a 5. So it maybe it's a slightly different age as well. Okay, other things to note when you're on the road, you're in the car, loads of vibrations. I always just check every sort of 6 months or so. I just tweak up some of these screws, right? Not a lot, not crazy, but I like to tweak them up a little bit. Every now and again, one of them just comes maybe a quarter turn down, as is, you know, because you're trundling around, aren't you, all the time. I give the organ a bit of stick, right? So I play it like this. I don't know if you can even see that where you are, but I play it on my knee almost, rocking, and I will drop it down for effect. So if I'm getting really into it, I'll kind of move it a little bit. I don't know why. I think I'm probably ripping someone off, but it's just something that feels comfortable and good, and it looks nice. It's a nice bit of show. The legs are sturdy enough to handle that, no problem. In the back of my mind, are the lugs going to be okay there? So on the top of the legs, there are like finger lugs like that, which locate the organ. How many dreams I've had where I wake up in the night thinking, that's it, it's gone, it's over or something, but it's never misses a beat, if I'm honest with you. So that's good. Obviously, not obviously, but you can get a single manual or a dual manual version of this. When you get the dual manual version, you have to take the sides off the single and slide it into the bottom section. I've got a video on that. It's an unboxing video I've got that you can have a look at. But when you've got it all in and you've remembered to use your perspex here so you don't scratch this lovely wood on these sides, underneath there are 4 finger screws, quite big finger screws, and they make sure that the top half of the Hammond stay with the bottom half of the Hammond. Now, they're finger screws, and they're designed so you can take them apart if you want to. You can go back out and gig on a single manual and put the corners back on, and off you go, or you can leave it in the dual. Every now and again, if you're a thug like someone, right, they can get a bit loose. It's only four things. So what I would suggest is when you're setting up and you're maybe putting your Leslie cable in, and see I've not even put that in properly, it should go over that thing, not under. Just put your hand under there and just turn those 4 screws and make sure. I've got one that's a little naughty, just the one that's a little naughty, and a couple of times it's been a little bit loose, so I tighten it up. And I think that's not a bad call. Other than that, really, this thing runs itself. Okay, it's absolutely fantastic. The foot pedal I've got now is the latest one, which has got the fast slow. You won't be able to see that. It's got the little fast slow button as well. I keep hitting that. I'm used to a momentary pedal, to be honest, and as I stamp down, because I'm a thug, sometimes I put my foot on the thing and I flick it onto fast and slow. It's not a great problem. I think what I will do for my particular nuance is I will change that pivot to a jack socket, and I'll pull it out into a fast slow, and I'll have a separate pedal probably for that. Other things that are great actually out the back here, you can assign a spring reverb to a foot pedal. Hammond make these very nice little foot pedals. You can also assign the switching off effect of the organ to a foot pedal as well. I think I've got it signed to something over here if I could remember where it is. Well, there's a thing, isn't it? Now, the XK-C3s had this, and the Rolands had this as well. And if you think of the end of Deep Purple speaking, there's a weird noise where it's going down and up, the organ's going down and up. And that's where John Lord is actually switching off and on the Hammond organ whilst leaving the Leslie intact. Well, in fact, on that one, it wasn't a Leslie, it was a Marshall amplifier. And that's the drain of the sound out of the organ as it goes down and slows down. And Hammond have emulated that, and you could put that on a button or on a pedal. I like the spring reverb button because you can pretend to hit the top of the organ and actually press the button, and you get spring reverb sound. I don't have a spring reverb in here, nor in that one. But I think for ease, I assigned that little trick, which I don't use very often. And I've assigned that to the octave lower button here, which is not something I use at all. And there are a few buttons that you can assign there, which is quite nice. Additionally, what I will say is look at the master EQ and get that sounding exactly how you want it. For me, I've rolled a little bit of bass off actually, and a little bit of middle off and a little bit of treble on. It changes obviously to the amplifier you're using. So when I moved from the 145 as my gigging buddy, and my gigging buddy for a long time, to the 3300, there are different responses. The 3300 is solid state, and it's loud, and it's got bass. I've heard people say it hasn't got enough bass. I don't know where their ears are. There's plenty of bass for me. I guess it depends what you're using it for. I'm going straight through it. I'm going to mic it up and put it in a PA and go and do a gig. Plenty of bass. I've got a bass player. He can deal with the real dusty end if he wants to. So I would look at the master EQ and just use your ears and think about that for a while. The overdrive is pretty good actually. The very first firmware was not great, I think, and there was a little click as you switched it on, which you do not get anymore from the next firmware up on all those. So again, firmwares are quite important for that. I think the overdrive has been subtly improved throughout every firmware, to be honest, and to a point where last week I gigged this through a ventilator and I used the overdrive on all the time. Just give it the greet, do it there. I had no problem with that. Usually I don't use that. Usually I use the 3300 overdrive, or if I'm using Leslie 145, I might use a pedal or dial a bit more up on here. This whole matching transformer bit here with compression and the valve that you can use here is something really I'll get into if I saw you. So if we do see each other on the 4th of May, ask me about that. But I've spoken about that before and I love it. On the pedal, I forgot to mention the pedal. Very sturdy, very reliable pedal. What I will say is when you pack it away, there's a tendency with all cables to wrap things round. And the cable comes out of the pedal, it's fixed to the pedal, it's not unpluggable. It comes out of the pedal and the tendency would be just to wrap it straight round and round and round and round. I think you get a bit of wear if you use that too long. By too long, what I mean is I bought an XB2 Hammond organ with a pedal, and maybe about a year ago it was fraying and starting to cause some problems. Right, that's quite a long time, but I wouldn't wrap it round. I would have it out and wrap it around and put it in your gig box like that or something like that, because that would be a shame if that went. They're not cheap. There are two types of pedal. There's your standard kind of inline volume pedal, and there's this one here, which is the one with the bulb, which understands where you are and can start feeding in overdrive and things like that, pre or post the pedal. It's quite a clever little bit of kit, so I would recommend it. It's a bit wider and it feels good. You know, if you've got a C3, you know what I'm talking about. Other than that, I would say that I look at the percussion slightly differently. So I turn the percussion down a little bit. The vibrato chorus, I slow down slightly. So there's the percussion. I think it's a bit loud out the box. I'll slow it down, so I do that, and I'll slow the vibrato down a little bit. These are a whole wonderful section, which I'll probably have to talk to you about. The inverse keys. So the inverse keys on a C3 were to keep sounds that you wanted to store, drawbar settings that you wanted to store. On the XK5, yes, you can do that. Of course you can, but you can also send MIDI and zoning and all sorts of different patch stuff. So it's very, very clever. And you've got banks of it as well. So it's not just that many. It's an octave's worth either side, but you can have that many banks. So if you've got a calculator, you can work it out, can't you? Quite a few combinations. And you got split. I don't use split. I don't use sustained pedals and things like that. I do use transpose every now and again. Transpose down. You see the word transpose has been written there by me. That's just to remind me in a couple of bands when we play in flat key. Okay, I just transpose that. I don't transpose on the fly. I probably could do it, but I think it will be a disaster waiting to happen for me, don't you? I could just see what would happen if I did that, so I don't do that. Okay, so there you go. There's a little bit of Hammond-ing. See what you think. That's my road test. Really, the CU 1/2 moon, brilliant, never goes wrong, absolutely fantastic. Gives you the stop as well, which is great. Gives you the stop on the C3 on the 3300 too. After a while, can you hear that? That's because I've been given this so much grief. So there is a little bit of tightening up I think I need to do there on the legs, and I would put it on a carpet as well if I were gigging it and not on the floor, especially if you're going to be silly like I am, and then you know it's not going to stick and fall, which would be a shame. I hope that was useful. Bit of a whistle stop, wasn't it really? But my extended test drive of this has shown me that it was worth buying. Right, the sound is better, the contacts are great, the key bed is lovely. I don't know what it is, but the key bed is lovely. It lasts forever, it's sturdy. Yes, if someone knocks it, it will scratch, you know, so you have to watch out for that. But you can get a thin MIDI controller on there as well. I've done that before and gigged that with MIDI controls, just with these little command strips either side, just holding it for the overhang. Absolutely fine, enjoyable machine. I look forward to showing it you in real life in May if you're around. If not, I look forward to seeing you at some point. Thank you.